Welcome to the Deep Look. The Rockford song is back, baby. We couldn't leave it at Streamathon weekend. You're listening now and watching, hopefully, on YouTube to Deep Look, Ultiworld's weekly podcast about everything going on in Ultimate. I am host and senior editor at Ultiworld, Keith Raynor, and I'm joined by Charlie Eisenhood, my faithful co-host of Deep Look. What, 10 years now we've been doing this?
At least.
So Charlie and I are here. I want to open though, because I have some unfinished business from our 24-hour streamathon. If you missed it, Charlie and I, as well as a number of folks from Ultiworld and for the Ultimate community, we're part of a 24-hour streamathon where we raise money for the Stonewall Foundation, all sorts of broadcasting games. There was an episode of Deep Look in it. We hit our fundraising goal. We raised $5,000 for the community, which was matched by Ultiworld. So over $10,000 going to the Stonewall Community Foundation. Super proud and happy about that. And along the way, Charlie and I had a number of challenges to do, whether it was eating disgusting or regular jelly beans, doing push-ups, and writing haikus. So I have a haiku left over that I needed to deliver. I forgot to do it in our wrap-up show. So I have one final haiku for Steve, who asked me to write one about our time at Ultiworld. And because I'm late, I'll even throw in a bonus for Steve. So Steve's going to get a back-to-back double here. Here we go. Why sleep when you can edit the night away while listening to May? Why sleep when you can edit the night away while listening to May? I mean, that's, if you know, you know. Okay, my other one.
That's an inside joke for sure.
This one is a little bit too, but more people will get this. But okay, here we go. We sang their songs for the community's good, but please take this down now.
For the sake of the community, Keith.
Okay, well, we sang their songs for the community's good, but please take this down now. There you go, Steve. I got you.
Good stuff. All right. Keith, congrats again on putting together such a great charity streamathon. We just discovered today that YouTube doesn't save your stream if it's over 12 hours, which is why it's not available. So if you've been trying to go back and watch some of it, it's not currently available. But what we're doing is we're cutting up all of the pieces and we're re-uploading them to YouTube over the next couple of days. So everything, the Family Feud, Deep Look's already up. I think all the podcasts are already up in the podcast feed, so you can go check those out. But Family Feud and the DJ set and the other various things that we did are going to get reclipped and put up onto YouTube. So let's keep it moving because we USA Ultimate CEO Kevin Erlenbach is joining us very soon. But first, it's time for the trivia question of the week.
This week's trivia question of the week, Charlie, just recently uploaded the full data set for the box scores for the Club National Championships of semis and finals. Your trivia question this week: who had the best edge score across semis and finals at the Club Championships? For those who are not in the know, edges are an advanced metric that basically combines yardage and goals, assists, blocks, and turnovers, your traditional stats, with yardage, and makes them a little rate-based for the game that you're in, into one number. So should encapsulate pretty much your whole performance in those categories. So highest edge score. Charlie, do you have any ideas for semis and finals who had the best edge score?
Okay, so hang on a second. Are you asking me for the number one single game performance, or are you asking me for the best cumulative performance over semis and finals?
One single game performance from semis and finals. So players who were in both the semis and the finals will have separate entries. So think about that. Think about who might have had the best single game performance across semis and finals of the Club Championships. I'll tell everybody about our friends over at Breakmark. If you need to stock your team or upgrade your gear, then you need to check out our sponsor, Breakmark. They offer great gear bundles to help you save money. And be sure to follow them on Instagram. They've been doing weekly giveaways. It's almost over. So if you last couple chances to get some free stuff from Breakmark as they celebrate their 20th anniversary. They've been adding awesome new products lately, like their tights. They have crop tops. They have a sleeveless hoodie. Plus, they've dropped the price of their core sublimated jerseys down from $60 to $35. But that price is only through the end of 2025. So make sure to visit breakmark.com. Get that before the year is over and the deal is gone. Charlie, what are you
All right.
thinking? Who's the best score?
I have a guess. I think I'm going to be right, to be honest. My
Mhm.
guess is Mac Hecht in the finals because he had a massive game and he didn't have any turnovers, and that's huge. I don't remember exactly how many assists he had, but it was a bunch, and massive amount of yardage as a result because he's their primary thrower. So I'm going to Mac Hecht.
Matt Hecht, a half dozen assists, 470 total yards in the game,
Ooh,
0 turnovers, as you mentioned, and a sterling 4.46 edge. But he is not the top scorer. He is not the top scoring player
wow,
uh, in that contest. Not
a
at least
four and
not
a
at
half
least
is
not that one.
crazy.
Four, yeah,
Not even
four
the
and a half
highest
is a
scorer
lot.
in the contest.
No, sorry, in this set. In
Okay,
this set of
okay,
information.
okay.
Somebody also there was a
Um,
guest for Mac in the chat.
Levka.
Not Lefka, and you didn't
Too
even
many
specify
turnovers.
which Lefka, but Lefka did post, I think, the best score of any player in the women's division. She had a 4.1 in the final.
A, fo-
Those blocks are
a
big.
score north of 4 is extremely good. You had a
Yes.
massive game if you're scoring a
3 is
4
like you
plus.
3 is like you had a really good game. 4 is like you're lights out.
I guess I give up. I don't know.
That I think this would be tough to get, to be honest with you. The answer, and I don't know if anybody was gonna get there except maybe some of this person's teammates. See, I see a Dalton Smith in the chat. I see Don Desmarais. I'm surprised Charlie didn't think of
I
Don as an
I
option.
thought of Don, but it's not. I don't think it was Don. Like, there's no way Don
Sadie
outscored Mac.
Sadie Jazerski, another suggestion from the
No, too
chat, but
many
the answer
turns.
is John Mast in semifinals against Exist.
Wow.
John Mast
Okay,
posting 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 turnover to go with 516 yards. That's a 4.84.
I feel like John Mast didn't get the respect he deserved this whole season. I swear to God, that guy was amazing the whole year and drove them as a thrower in the backfield. And I know that Rachel Mass was amazing. And you can name any number of players who are great on that hybrid team because they have a lot of good players, and that's why they won another championship. But John Mast, like, it is not a random coincidence that he posts a massive score like that. Yardage matters in Ultimate, and having 1 turnover on that many throwing yards is a huge achievement, which is why it's rewarded by this statistic. So let me say it again. I've been saying it earlier this year. John Mast, not enough loved as one of the elite handlers in the mixed division. He had an incredible season, and I feel like he got under repped for it because of how good Rachel was.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been someone who has like kind of disregarded his role, but I can't argue with the results. Like Edge goes a little deeper than just how many goals and assists you threw, and obviously he tallied good numbers there as well. But uh, yeah, I mean he ended up he gets the ring, Rachel gets the pody, and he doesn't even get an all club nod. So
That is what
definitely
I'm
can
saying.
can put a chip on his shoulder after this.
People take it for granted when there's like a non-flashy handler who doesn't make a lot of mistakes. That is not an easy role to fill. And I'm not saying he's the best player on the team, but I think he should have been all club. That's how good he
I'll note
was.
that
He was
the max
great the
score the
whole.
max score that you referenced was with that 4.46 was the second highest. The third also caught me by surprise. Ben Dameron in semifinals with
Wow.
2 goals, 3 assists, a block, 0 turn on 32 touches, 363 yards for a 4.4. I did not
Tremendous
remember Van
game.
Dameron having a standout game really.
Tremendous game. I mean, what more do you want from somebody on your O line? That is incredible. Like that is, but that's what I'm saying. Non-flashy handler play gets underrepresented by ultimate players. People want to see the big layouts, the skies, and there can be handlers who stand out because they make, big scary throws, hammers, stuff like that. But it turns out when you're just grinding and you're not turning it over and you're putting up 300 plus yards in a game, that's a massive game. So, um, good stuff. I will be sure to check out the full box scores, as should you, over on ultiworld.com. All right, time to welcome in the USA Ultimate CEO, Kevin Erlenbach. Kevin, it's great to see you once again. Thank you for standing by and waiting for us to get through all of this chit chat. How are you as we head towards the holidays?
I'm dynamite. I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to talk about my year. Hope we don't challenge that 12-hour YouTube rule because a lot of good stuff to talk about. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. And I wanted to start by just kind of asking you about how it's gone in your first year at USAU. We had you on around this time a year ago when you were just getting started. And I don't want to ask too many questions at once, so I'll just leave it at that. How has year one been?
It's been exceptional. When I was looking for my next challenge, something I was really trying to find was a group and a sport, an organization that matched my passion points. And I've had a lot of conversations with folks. I think not coming from a deep ultimate background, some people were a little curious in a positive way and had some great conversations. But what I love is building community through sport, and I can't. I mean, I doing the research, having conversations, going to it, and now getting experience a year. I can't think of another sport I've encountered that provides more of a community and connection for people. So it's been tons of fun just having conversations and getting to tell the benefits of what it's all about. I mean, so much that it's frustrated me about youth sport in the past and just sport in general. And the problems, the answers are in ultimate of just connection and building soft skills and giving people a place to compete that matches who they are. So if you can't tell, I'm very much happy and loving every day getting to hang out with all of you.
We're certainly we're glad to have you here. And you mentioned it's funny to me that you're asked about what you think of your year, and the first thing you start talking about is Youth Ultimate. Like that is like the starting point for you. And I want to ask more about that. What are you seeing in Youth Ultimate now that's going well, and what do you think the next steps are as we go into 2026 in that area?
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's going well is just even seeing YCCs and so many teams from so different parts, and just the level of something that I always preach, probably to a painful point to even my own children, is that I think one of the biggest skills lacking in kids these days, especially coming out of COVID, where they were forced to be more online and isolated, is um, self-awareness and some of those soft skills of being able to do self-excavation, connect with people, talk stuff through, understand your place in the universe at a point and determining where you want to be. And so just even seeing kids live action on the field, in play at the highest level of play, trying to go and win YCCs, it's just, I've been bragging nonstop. I don't think there's anything else out there, sport wise, I should say, that teaches kids to, in the moment, confront conflict, um, build up your teammates, build up your competitors. I love how so many groups I've noticed just build in positivity, where too many times, especially at those young ages where it's hard, that they just get told what they're doing wrong versus what they did right, and the respect and support they have for each other. Um, something that, and I'll highlight as we talk, is something I really liked about Ultimate is they had a great strategic plan going in, and the first pillar on it is elevate youth and grassroots Ultimate, and so I've done some deep dives in there. But even that, when you say grow youth ultimate, that's a huge ask. I mean, that's a lot, and more specifically. So some of the focus points that we're trying to get out, I'm trying to get out to the community so we can all rally together. I actually just had a conversation, kind of State of the Union, with all the LDOs last week. I have office hours this week where local leaders and folks have scheduled. I'm going to be having more individual conversations. But, if you look at us since 2019, we're participation is 9% lower than it was then, which, at this point you would hope that would be a little bit higher post-COVID, but, adults close to 20% higher. And where we're really hurting is college is down over 12%, youth is down 40%. And so we went a little deeper.
Wow.
But yeah, so age group wise, and I do fully understand. People say, well, some groups don't register with USA Ultimate, and that's fair, but I still use registration for a barometer of where sport's going and what we do know and what we can look at and examine. And, the middle school is down, like they're over 33%, and high school is down almost 36%. And so we've broken it down in some focus points for going forward that we're looking for everybody to rally and collaborate and help us move forward on youth. I know I said it already, but there's so much good that comes from the sport, especially for these ages. So at elementary, we're doing a lot of stuff, and we'll continue to look at bringing in partners. We have done a lot of work with Boys and Girls Club. They estimated that 35,000 kids will have played Ultimate this year. So that's great. We're putting some programs together for gym classes at that age, looking at some partners to help push it out. We just had a partnership with a group called 2 for 1. I saw they're actually, I believe, talking to Congress right now, or the House, the representative there, about the future of youth sport. And they're implementing in there. And the goal really is to build awareness, make throwing a disc and playing Ultimate part of their physical literacy, so that there's some awareness as it of a sport. But what we're trying to really do is get everybody to focus heavily on middle school, and make that really our key performance indicator. Like, if we can grow middle school for many reasons, the health long term of youth ultimate will come, just having the bigger base. So there's a couple reasons for that. Like, if you look at that age group, only 39% of kids are still playing sport by that point. Youth sport's an interesting monster a little bit in the States, as you know, where kids, the big groups coming in, it's a lot of sports sampling, but there's high burnout. People get kids committed a little bit too much early, or, as things like field time or court time become more, less available at older age groups, they tend to give it to the elite kids. So if you're not at an elite level, you get pushed out, and there's not many rec opportunities. And then you shift it to middle school, where kids want to play for their school, and they might offer 1 or 2 teams. I saw it. I have twins that are middle schoolers, so I see it firsthand where, I remember going to my daughter's basketball opening meeting, and they're like, hey, we had 90 something kids try out for the basketball teams. We want to have 2 teams, and congrats, your kid made one of the 2 teams. And all I could think of was, there's so many kids that if they didn't play a little bit of YMCA basketball or had some kind of chance to play it, they're out. Like, they're retired before they can start. The only sport I could see that does scale well is track and field. And that was a little painful as there was 129 kids. I remember this specifically on the track and field team in middle school that my other daughter was on. And they made us sign up for an app, one of the sports apps. And when you have 129 parents constantly on chat asking questions, it is super painful. Your phone is blowing up nonstop. But then if we can shift more of that middle school group, right now, especially at our female matching players, flag football is blowing up gangbusters. And we're not going to beat them head on in high school. I go past a lot of fields. I'm sure you do too. And there is a lot of flag football practice for female matching players in high school. So we got to get them early in middle school. And so if you have more players come out of middle school, we can scale up, make more high school teams, and even creep in a little bit into college. something else to look at. I mean, college has always been traditionally a big inlet for new players and just lots of opportunities to play. But if you look at, there's like 3,300 colleges and universities in the country, and if you apply the number of universities or schools that have ultimate teams, like formal club teams, it's less than 11%. So just even that space of getting more people to play, there is unbelievable amount of opportunity.
So it's fascinating. I mean, it's great to get some actual numbers. I mean, I think we've felt that there's been a drop off in some of the, lesser connected high school programs post COVID, especially on
Yeah.
the FMP side. So the thing is like that the top elite side of Youth Ultimate is in pretty good shape. I mean, you look at YCCs,
Yeah.
this is the biggest YCC ever. I think you all have made a great decision to split into two divisions, each with their own championship kind of structure, so that, people who are not able to compete with the Bostons and the Atlantas and the San Franciscos of the world can still maybe go win a title in D2. And I think, there's no real concern for me there in terms of YCCs. Like, there's always going to be that appetite for the top 1% up to 5%, whatever you want to call it, of kids. Same thing for our high school national invite. We're not having a problem getting the top high schools in the country to come and play in a really fun tournament. The question is, how do we build from the more difficult side of like the ground up, where there isn't this long institutional memory, where you don't have a long time 20-year coach, et cetera. So what are you thinking is the actual mechanism for building middle school ultimate? I'll just build on what
Sure.
you said, which is that Seattle got middle school ultimate put in as part of this public school system back in 2003, I think it was. And as a result, they have a massive youth community. I mean, even that has been hit by COVID, but still, thousands of kids playing ultimate in Seattle, and obviously they go on to play all over the country in college and in club. Um, and that's been a huge success story. How it's not going to be realistic to get it into public schools everywhere. How do we do that? Like, how do you think USA Ultimate can facilitate growing middle school ultimate specifically?
Yeah, and I'll try and get the 10,000-foot view. Otherwise, I'll be talking forever, and you guys will get sick of me. A big part is collaboration amongst LDOs, local disc orgs, learning best practices. I've been doing a lot of that, learning from some of the better groups at what they do, and how do we share more of those best practices, make resources for those groups. A good start was, we launched that first Discover Ultimate Day in September. I was hoping for 10 programs. We had 22 sites. So looking forward this coming September to repeat that and build on that. We already in the works have some more resources to help folks make it bigger and better. So that's one part. The other part is our team is heavy. We just secured some funding to expand heavily on middle school, not only, building out a kit that a teacher could take to the superintendent. Well, they don't have to really go to the superintendent in middle school, just the principal, and say, I want to start an ultimate club. So just, and I will apologize in advance. I reference my children too much and stuff, but they are my guinea pigs in a lot of stuff in sport, whether they know that or not. But it was comical. Is I looked at the list of club activities they could do, and there's 30 clubs at their school, and only one had an actual physical education component to it. There was cybersecurity club for middle school kids. There was reading and chocolate club. You got your Harry Potter club, but there's so many highly educated teachers out there that played ultimate. Actually, one of my kids' favorite teachers brought out his disc and was talking about ultimate, and my daughter Cassie threw her arm up so fast and she told me a story. She's like, my dad works for that. He does that, and she's like, Dad, you're doing something. People actually do that stuff. And I'm like, I've been doing stuff for years, kid. It takes one teacher to show you a disc and you realize what I actually do for a living. But let's identify some of those leaders in there that can want to start an ultimate club and get them kits, get them the packet to take it to the principal to sell it. We're developing like a class program, a curriculum that includes some social emotional learning, so that it can be scalable out no matter what state you're in. And then marketing pieces there for someone who just wants to start and partner and continue with best practices. Something else that will be big is we've added 2 new staff people, well, 3 this past year, one with our foundation, but then a full-time national team manager that takes all that work off our competition managers to now focus more time on growth at each level. And then we just added someone to our communications team to tell our story and tell the story of the people out in the community doing the work. And I know I'm pumping our tires, but what all of us do is very impressive, and I know people don't see it. And I think we can do a much better job of getting that out and having a bigger social media presence. We've also secured funding to do more targeted digital marketing to folks that are outside of our, for lack of a term, bubble, people that have no experience with Ultimate. So what you'll be seeing this year, we'll start with our affiliate disc orgs, but this group takes, they build profiles. We share data without sharing specific information, so it's all secure and legal. With them, they put in the Oracle system that chops up how those people within, whether we go 15-mile or 20-mile radius of a disc org, and they will chop up how they consume online, like 50,000+ different ways. And then they spit out profiles of people that are looking for the same thing in that age group, youth sports, certain qualities, are shopping for certain things. And then they'll start getting imagery on websites they visit, social media feeds. We're looking to do a little more YouTube work. And I did this in a previous life, and it over the long term had a lot of success because it got people thinking, why not Ultimate? And when that ask comes, like a Discover Ultimate Day or the middle school club adoption or just the local club hosting things and then bringing friends, it makes more sense. We're also revamping a lot of our, I like to say, consumer education for parents at that age. Not so much, I don't like the word parent education because I think any parent, when they're told they need to be educated, will automatically shut you down and be like, I know what I need to do to parent. But consumer education, let them know the value prop of having your kid play Ultimate, so that you're like, hey, all those qualities that you're teaching the kids is exactly what I want, and let them know how they're geniuses for putting their kids in Ultimate to help increase that likelihood of conversion and retention. So those are a couple of things going in. And as we go along, I know from experience too, and as we continue, I'm going to say the word a lot, collaborate and pilot things, we're going to learn a lot from the community that we can share and build off of.
You got to unmute, my friends. Keith just talking to himself, hanging out, having a chat.
Sorry, I had someone making a noise in here, and I forgot that I muted. Yeah, we have additional questions coming in as well from some of our listeners and
Okay.
subscribers. But I want one of them came in. You actually kind of touched on this. Was you were talking about some of the demographic data and the trends that you're seeing. I think that to my knowledge, that has not been made public. I think the last public membership data report was 2019. Are we going to see that data be made publicly available? And secondarily, are there other trends? You mentioned a couple of trends that you had noted.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other trends that you think the community might find interesting?
Yeah, no, we're going deeper dive in it right now. We actually made a lot of it came just less staff coming on COVID, and we're just now trying to add some more people and interns and get a little deeper on things. We made some big strides on the membership data specifically this summer, so that'll be getting posted here shortly, along with the group here used to do annual reviews, so those are being built out as well as we speak. So all of that will be coming into play shortly. I'm probably to the shock of my high school math teachers. I go deep into numbers. I want to make sure where we're going. I'm a big pilot person and a big numbers person because I want to make sure that where we're going has impact. I think the biggest trend that is a little shocking to me, and honestly, I don't have a great answer for right now, but we're looking into it, and this is why we're here, is to talk to the community and find out more, is every other youth sport right now, pretty much everyone from the data is male matching participation is flattening or actually dropping, and female matching participation has been exploding, like just going through the roof. Really before COVID even happened, and for some reason, ultimately, it's not happening the same way we did. We are working with Clemson University to do a study right now, and they've been going deep dive with some quantitative and qualitative research, surveying out to folks. We'll keep going that space and learning from. We're going to some data to figure out which local disc orgs are very successful at this and increasing those numbers and trying to identify some best practices to build off of. But I would say that's a trend that is front of mind right now, that as we revamp the Girls Ultimate Movement initiative and take all this data in and continue to connect with people out in the community, that's a big goal.
What would you say are your like short-term hopes for 2026 in terms of targets you want to hit, membership numbers, whatever those things may be, even beyond the scope of just youth?
Yep. Yeah, I would say we're closing out the year right now, so I don't want to go too deep and say I want to hit X yet. We will have that in the new year, and we'll share it because I think that's a big thing of trying to hold each other accountable. And I always get a little squirm sometimes when I say accountability because people always think that's a bad thing. I want people to hold me accountable. It's like any team. You hold your teammates accountable by praising them, let them know how they can do better, have them hold you how you can do better, where you're succeeding. So that's a lot of it. So I won't go too much in membership numbers yet. You can have me back on and we go deeper on that stuff early in the year. I think my biggest goal, and it was something this past year as I've tried to learn from all of you and listen, is, another one of our strategic priorities is enhancing local Discord success. And something I've just found can grow, and there's a lot of opportunity is more collaboration, relationship building with the community and the leaders out there. I have a lot of conversations with the athletes, with people on the ground, building up programs with people who used to play, people that don't play, and been as best I can getting around the country and continue to try and get around to the different disc orgs, whether they're affiliate orgs or not, and get to know them more so that we can have that shared trust to build out. Because anything we talk about and do, if there's not buy-in and a shared understanding and trust amongst each other with the people on the ground actually doing the work that are ultimate in their community and our volunteers and staff and board and partners that are doing it, it really doesn't move the needle. That's the secret sauce of a national governing body. Is while we might not agree on everything, which is healthy and good, the things that we do agree on and want to build upon is that we're constantly working and pushing and keeping each other accountable. But that takes more relationship building. So that kind of goes into what I was saying a little bit earlier of even this week having office hours. I figured, right before the holidays, maybe people have a little time. I got 3 today. I'm really curious what everyone wants to talk about. And that's something that's been good to see. I think generally people have been happy to see the engagement and the want to be teammates and partners in the future of this. So this will be a big year for that.
We've talked a lot about youth and to some degree, college play as it pertains to being where a lot of these young players are going to go. We haven't touched much on club at all.
Yeah.
And obviously the club season just wrapped up. We've got a lot of fans who are excited about it. What do you see as the vision for the club division? Do you see anything changing for club competitors? What's the club role in this landscape that USA Ultimate has?
The club role is important because you have to have that player pathway to really show the value of the sport. So when you go, not just for the club players, but the whole pathway from picking up the disc for the first time to show that, hey, you can play locally and compete at a high level or recreationally. You can play for a college, you can represent your country, and you can play for these club teams that are unbelievable and committed and have a lot of purpose and go for national championships for that. I don't know if there's a lot of change in place. I leave that more to the committees and the volunteers and the competition managers. I know we just had competition meetings, was it 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and there's a lot of work into that. The one thing I do see changing, or I said hyper focus on the next couple of years, is no different than youth, is increasing female matching teams at the club level. We did also secure funding for a pilot program, a 5-year program, to award grants and build out best practices and invest in leaders that want to build out female matching club teams. So the biggest change to me is just more intentionality of increasing that number. I'd be curious what you guys think it needs to or could happen in the future for club.
Keith, you want to go first?
I feel like our chat could get really activated if you open the floor up like that. Maybe we just need a chat office hours, just Kevin in the chat together.
I'm in.
We want, look, my number one priority in club is still I want nationals, big games to be at nighttime. I think there are a lot of people who have different opinions about the travel components of club and like the expenses that come with that. I'm more sympathetic to the give and take of having a clear defined schedule, but how that requires teams to travel, but also how the travel has impacted local club scenes. So I'm more sympathetic to that, even though I think there are a lot of folks who that's kind of the first thing that they think of is like, how do we change the requirements of the club season for elite players so that there can be more local play and less costly travel? But that's not necessarily a number one priority for me individually. Charlie, do you want to go? Are we just sharing? We're just sharing right now.
Well, I'll give a more big, a big idea, I guess.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges, you talk about wanting to increase women's club participation. One of the challenges right now is that, you'll have a region where the top women's teams are so much better than the rest of the teams that it doesn't feel like there's like necessarily something to play for in a way. So I think there's two ways that could be addressed. Number one, I think USA Ultimate needs to make regionals a bigger deal and put more emphasis and energy into it and making it a premium tournament experience. I don't expect USAU to run all of the regionals themselves, but in some cases, regionals feels like a cast-off tournament that is not well run, and that's not true all the time, and it's not true everywhere, but it can be an issue. So for most teams, that is the pinnacle of their season, and we should treat it as such and make it a really good tournament experience. Number two idea is have, like what you're doing for YCC, run a separate championship or an NIT type experience. I don't know if there's demand for that, but I wouldn't be shocked if there is. And it would give a new pathway for people to have that kind of vacation tournament experience that the very top teams already get. And then you create that, and it would be maybe a smaller tournament, maybe not as much fanfare, maybe not as much media, but still an opportunity for people to go and play. And you give people something to go for besides maybe making nationals, because there's just very little oxygen for most teams.
Awesome. Thank you.
I wonder, Charlie, even if USAU was sending out trophies for regionals, like, you send the RCE trophies for first, second, and third place, the wooden disc, or it could be medals, whatever. I wonder if that would make people feel a little more like, hey, this is a big time thing. And yeah, you're still not solving the problem of having that winning team, but suddenly second and third feel a lot better when you're getting this thing that becomes a part of your team's legacy. Maybe that's a way to add some premium feel to regionals without a gigantic expense or outlay. In that
I would just like to have the schedules be out a week before the tournament, Keith.
That's a good one.
Sorry, I know I'm digging at volunteers right now who have to deal with like teams dropping out last minute and stuff, but it's like having a schedule and having like nice lined fields and having like a really good overall experience for what for most teams is the end of their season is important. And I don't think that it's focused on enough right now. I think USA Ultimate does a great job of catering to elite players across all divisions. elite masters, elite youth, elite club, you name it, elite college. Beyond that level, there's not enough attention. And as a result, growth is not necessarily happening at the same levels lower from that point. So I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
No, it's obviously, once again, after I knock my water over there, um, it's all good ideas and stuff that we can take, and a lot of it is working with the local organizers, local leaders, and providing the resources to do that, share ideas. So this is good. This is idea sharing for more collaboration around building. So that's why I think it's all good. It's great.
All right, let's see. I'll ask one from a former editor here at Ulti World, Steve Sullivan.
Okay.
He wants to know, what do you think is what was your personal biggest success this year at USAU, and what would you say was the biggest shortcoming?
I think, and this is more me and less outside of me, is I think the biggest success was listening, being very intentional, getting to learn a lot, and not let ego or preemptive bias get in the way. Um, I think that's been what's the most fun part, is not only just getting to know people, but getting to learn a whole new culture of sport that is really tremendous. I know I've said that already, but it really is. And getting to learn from my team here, getting to learn from a very caring board, and getting to learn from partners and all the stakeholders. So I'll say it's my biggest success. I know that's not really outside of my own brain, but I'll take it. I think the biggest whiff, when you're trying to learn something, and I've said this to a couple people, is sometimes some days feel like I'm running a marathon in the fog. Like I know I'm going the right direction, but I don't really know what's in front of me. And when that happens, you go down wormholes that sometimes pay off, sometimes don't pay off. So the whiffs are when I get done sometimes at the end of days, or get done trying to help somebody, and then I realize that was a complete waste of all that time that you wanted to put towards other stuff. So a little bit from two sides of the same thing, getting to listen, but then also as investigating, trying to be as effective as possible.
Those are both good. I know we're doing a lot of, like, it's end of the year time, so it's like time for reflecting back
Yeah.
on the year. So we're doing a lot of that stuff
Yeah,
here
yeah.
too. I know that one area that sometimes it feels like USA Ultimate hasn't really hit its stride is in potentially communicating both the goals, like what the plan is, and where you are having success, communicating about the programs that you are running or changes that you are making that are being successful. So I'm hoping that's something that we'll see changes as we go forward, because I know there's a sense that we have a larger strategic vision, like those top line bullet points. But I'm hoping that in this coming year, we'll get to see some more specifics. You mentioned one of the, obviously we're seeing that there's a challenge in filling that female matching player pipeline, whether it's at the middle school level, the youth level, whether it's in club division. That's a lot of what we've been talking about on this episode here. Uh, but and you mentioned that you're going to see some expansion for for the Girls Ultimate Clinic. I think you said a revamp was your exact terminology. But are we going to get to see more of the specifics as to what that'll actually entail, how that will actually reach people in the community, not just for gum, but even for the wider examples of the larger bullet points of the strategic plan? Are we going to see that communicated here in the near future?
Yeah, no, that's you read my mind. That's a core thing that kind of goes with that enhancing local disc org success, and not just local disc orgs, but stakeholders too. And I think that goes along the lines of trying to build these relationships so that I can have conversations with people, and that we're all having those conversations. Um, One piece was hiring that new communications manager. I will say, me personally, I'm not always the best at pumping my own chest, beating my own chest, I should say, and telling all the great stuff. And I would argue that sometimes we're not the best at telling all the great things that are happening. So, that new communications person, that's going to be a big piece of making sure opportunities, but then stories of people doing good work, telling metrics and strategic initiative pieces, and and trying to rally more people in the community to help us achieve those things is core. And and I'm open to ideas from the community if they want to let me know of more ways to get that messaging out. Obviously, there's ways to do it with traditional press releases and social media, but I think it'd be arrogant to say that we have the answers. So a lot of it is learning. Communication is the desired outcome. So even it's interesting. I'll make fun of myself for a minute as I thought, hey, I'm going to do a letter out to the community of like just what I've experienced so far. I'm excited, trying to just rally people, and we put it on our social media feeds. And then I made the mistake of looking at some of the comments, and someone was like, "Nice AI response," and I was just like, I worked really hard on that. But then I thought maybe it was good because they thought AI wrote it. So I mean, that's just something I'm trying to throw at the wall and see if it's sticky. The harebrained idea last week that literally came to me in the middle of the night of let's just invite any leader that was part of an LDO to jump on hour-long webinar, and we'll go through some of the stuff we're going to focus on this year. Trying this office hour thing this week. I've got about 6 people that took me up on the offer. But I know even as people have sent emails, they're pretty formal. I don't know if they are thrown off or a little off when I come back and be like, let's just jump on the phone and talk through some of the ideas you're coming through. But that is something that I'm always open to anybody. Please send our way of how they would like to be connected with. I will make time for anybody, honestly, in the community. So I wish I had an answer of like 1, 2, and 3. That's what's going to happen. I just got to learn more.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Kevin. Hope you have a very happy holidays. We appreciate you coming on and look forward to talking to you in 2026.
Yeah. Anytime, guys. Let me know. I love it.
All right. Thank you very much. Kevin Erlenbach, USAU CEO, with us here on Deep Look. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it is the best of 2025. We're picking the superlatives from the 2025 year that was. Keith Raynor, Charlie Eisenhood with you. Stay with us. Welcome back to Deep Look. All right, well, some crazy stuff from the Ultimate Frisbee community. This is a fun one, kind of out of nowhere. Pittsburgh Thunderbirds' Chris Graber sets the Guinness World Record. What for? Pistol squatting 77 kilograms. Okay. A body weight pistol squat is a very challenging thing that probably maybe only 5-10% of the population can do. To do it with 77 kilograms is so crazy, Keith.
Don't worry, folks. If you, like me, are a dumb American and don't know what 77 kilograms is, I don't worry. It's like 170 pounds, but I had to Google it. So your problem is over.
Yeah, take a look at this. Okay. Let's take a look at... So Chris Gray, you got to watch this one on the YouTube. Right leg. Come on. Wow. That's insane. I don't know how you got to train for that. And,
I'm not
people are like, oh, well, he's going to hurt his knee. I'm like, well, the guy's doing a literal max rep, max effort, single leg squat.
I think I would be out for a year if I tried to do one of those with just the bar. I'm not sure. I don't know if I could do one without weight.
Could you front squat?
I really don't.
Could you front squat 170 right now, Keith? 2 legs.
Probably not. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I'm just going to guess. Odds are no. If it's anything physical, I think I'm going to tear it. My knees just...
Well, some good notes in the UltiWorld article about this from Joe Marmerstein. He walked onto the track team at Mount Vernon Nazarene. He'd only ever played Ultimate. And he set 3 school records in indoor and outdoor triple jump and the outdoor long jump. That's pretty awesome. So, I mean, he's an explosive guy. He's got some strong legs. So, adds to it.
I mean, I remember
Guinness World Record. We'll see how long that stands.
I knew his name as he had like some crazy play with Pittsburgh in the UFA, like a massive layout catch. I recall that, but look at him doing the reverse. Instead of being the athlete from another sport who just shows up to Ultimate and is way too good, he shows up to another sport and it's like, oh, I've ever played his Ultimate. He's way too good. So appreciate you representing, Chris.
All right. Well, let's get to our 2025 superlatives, Keith. This is always a lot of fun. We did a subscriber bonus segment where we kind of talked through the best of the best, and we're picking the number one moments of the year here on today's Deep Look as we get ready to wrap up. This is our last show of 2025, by the way. We are going to take the next 2 weeks off. It is, of course, Christmas next week, and then the New Year's. The office is closed from the 22nd to January 2nd. So we're going to be off, and we'll be back with you on December 6th or 7th. That's a little,
but
that's a little bit of a
rep,
surprise for our producer because I'm going to be on a ski trip on next Tuesday to start the new year. So we might have to reschedule for the Wednesday. All right. So best game of the year, Keith. Let's start there. What are we calling number one game of the year?
Well, so for those who might have missed it, subscribers, we did Charlie and I went through with some of the subscribers to start making our nomination list. I think the first one that is going to come to mind is got to be the World Games final, which we just did a send it back with Kayla Heldon and Malcolm Bryson from Team USA and Team Canada. The World Games final, we did that send it back for the 24-hour stream thon. So World Games final, that's like the first one that comes to mind to me. You didn't mention, Charlie, we just had 12 days of College Ultimate kick off on the site, so we got College Ultimate content coming out. So I think back to the D1 women's division final, UBC and Carleton going down to the wire. And the spirit timeout in the middle of the game is a very dramatic game. You got star performances from Mika Karashi and Chicago Gelfin. Ella Poland had a great game. That was a crazy one. What else comes to mind for you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the Rhino Revolver semifinal I thought was really good from Club Nationals. There were a handful of games at World Games that I think could make the list. The problem is, are they really going to outcompete the final when the final was so exciting? Right. Probably not. I think the question is, like, given the stakes, do you put a game ahead of that World Games final? I don't know that I do. The intensity of the stakes.
I think I might be with you on this. A game that I had forgotten about until this morning when I was looking them up is the U20 boys final from YCCs. I shouldn't have forgotten about it because I just recently seen that Joel Simon layout catch, that the second effort layout that made it on SportsCenter. But that was just epic. A wild game. I mean, it didn't come down to universe, but just like crazy energy, a bunch of huge plays back and forth. That was a really wild, exciting game. But it's hard for me to think that you're going to get higher stakes than the World Games final. I mean, to me, the second place is probably that UBC Carleton game, another high stakes, but it was not. It doesn't quite have the level of play that you get from the World Games final, even though we saw a lot of mistakes in that World Games final too. That was a special one.
Maybe not so hot a take. A game requires mistakes to become a great game.
Definitely.
If one team, honestly, even if both teams play unbelievable, almost perfect offense, the game is not as interesting as you want to believe that it is. It's just not. Like I remember the pony ring final from whatever year, 2022. It was almost too clean to be truly like a legend game. So I think one of the things, like, if it's a slop fest, you don't want that either. But when you have elite level play, elite defense, some incredible moments of offense, and you have the big mistakes, the big blocks, that's how you get greatness. So yeah,
I mean, I agree with you, but there were points in that World Games final that veered into sloppiness.
Oh, for
Just like
sure, for sure.
throws to nobody. We don't need too many of those. There's a higher level than that game reached, but
Yes,
yes,
yes.
that was also true in the UBC
But like Canada going ahead and then like coming so close to winning, which obviously would have been a monumental upset, especially coming off of how poorly Canada looked at the last World Games. And then having a couple of critical red zone mistakes. They threw that one away. They had the drop, and then the U.S. Finding a way defensively to win after there was not a good offensive team ever. They were a bad offensive team, and yet they still won the championship. So it was a very interesting game. I mean, I don't think it was like the finest performance or anything like that, but it's hard for that kind of game with the two very obviously best teams there playing in such a high stakes environment for that not to be game of the year. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ultimately, I think that's the right choice.
All right.
Our next category, news from the year. Anything immediately jump to mind for you for what was the biggest news? I don't feel like this was the newsiest year we've ever had.
Yeah, it was like a little underwhelming on the news front. I would agree. We had the mixed bid change hands last minute because the USAU original algo run was missing a couple of games that tipped the scales. We had like the PULW All-Star game. That was kind of cool. We're going back to Rockford as we open the show with our going back to Rockford song. Honestly, a late entrant, Keith, Tim Schock releasing the article talking about Club Nationals pre-quarters and how there was an imbalance in the schedule that was creating a disadvantage. And then USAU changing the schedule. Like, that was actually kind of a big deal.
I agree with you. I agree with you that it was kind of crazy that happened. The other thing that comes to mind is also pretty recent. The Mechanics and Aviators folding. The Mechanics, for those who watch our Family Feud, one of the questions was about naming a pro team, like the first one that comes to mind, and the Mechanics was the third most named team. So, they're an institution, if not a big winner, and the Aviators as well. But I mean, I get what you're saying about the Tim Schock article, but is that the one you would take number one?
Oh, it's rare that I go through a year and feel like, wow, there was no big piece of news, but it does feel a little bit like that for Ultimate in 2025. To me, kind of a negative signal. Like, we need some more stuff to be going on. I guess if I had to pick one, I would probably say the algorithm drama.
Okay. That's also where I'm at. I think the algo change was a big sweat, especially after we already kind of knew that these teams on the bubble were going to be up against it after pro championships, and then to have the results come out and then be like, no, wait, just kidding, pump fake. That was a bit crazy.
All right, let's go to biggest upset. Now let's just start out with the obvious one. And I think this might win. But there's a very clear argument for a couple of options here. Number one,
is it France
Brute
women's
Squad
beach? Oh wait,
in their minds. I will say I listened to the Eurozone episode that was broadcasted during the charity stream, and I thought they had some nice perspective on the France USA semifinal, and that how things could have played out differently, that USA deserves some responsibility for, ultimately not making the right call in that moment. Um, I largely defended that specific call because I thought that, this is not an abnormally fast count for this level. But, when you have the opportunity to get it right and you don't get it right by the book, then, maybe you have to think about that. Anyway, uh, arguably that could be one of the news of the year, huh? Brute Squad over Fury, Dig over Pac-Man. Those are a couple of the big ones that stand out to me, Keith.
Yeah. Mixtape over BFG. That was a big shock for
Oh,
me.
great one.
Middlebury over Davenport at D3 Nationals. Davenport
Yeah.
had been like touted as I know, and now that we're in hindsight, I think it's obvious how good that Middlebury team was, and Davenport did not have a great Nationals. But if you try and rewind to where we
Oh,
were
yeah.
coming into it, Davenport was like
Oh,
being
we'd
talked
already
about like the
crowned them.
best D3 team of all time. And they get just taken down by a Middlebury team that could be the favorites coming into this year. So to me, that is easy to have neglected. Um, I don't know. How do you feel about like Winchell beating the Union? Like, is that not that big an upset? Like, we already knew the Winchell were going to be good enough, or what do you
I
think?
mean, I don't think it's going to win, but it was a pretty big one. I mean, Chicago had destroyed them earlier in the season. I think everybody was chalking up the Union to championship weekend.
Certainly, we were.
I think that was definitely a surprise. But to me, Pac-Man beating Dig is a bigger surprise. I think that's my vote,
Yeah,
Keith. Ultimately, I know Brute beating Fury is like the on paper maybe best answer, but Brute Squad has a history of showing up and playing their best Ultimate at Nationals, having great game plan. And it's not like, it's not like it was Parcha that beat Fury or something. Like, we're talking about a team that has more championships than any other team besides Fury over the last decade. So, for them to win, big deal, big story. Fury's only loss of the year. But for me, Pac-Man beating Dig when Dig was like supposed to be a true title contender was crazier.
Now, also, how about Germany over USA? But which one, you might ask? The World Games, beach mix. They got us twice. Both of those are good ones. Um, I'm a little less settled on this than you are. I mean, I think I give some credit to that Davenport one. The mixtape over BFG one, like BFG was maybe the leading title contender after hybrid. Like that, and they get knocked off by a mixtape team. Everybody kind of written off. Like the season was over for them. That's an all time regional shocker for me. But like Brute
Is that your
was a
vote?
2 seed. I don't know. I'm having trouble with this because Fury. I don't know. I think maybe the stakes of the Fury game are just the overwhelming one. I mean, obviously, Fury was being touted in a historical fashion, and the nature of that upset. Yeah, I think I'm ultimately gonna land on Brute Fury, but respect to those
All right.
other two.
So we have to have our producer Lindsay Sue break the tie. Lindsay, you can let me know in the chat. Are you going with Brute over Fury, or are you going with Pac-Man over Dig? By the way, Keith, Germany did not beat the U.S. at the World Games.
Oh yeah, they
It
went
was
to
a very
Universe.
good
They went to
game.
Universe. You're right.
And Sue is going with Brute over Fury. So there is your winner for 2025. Brute Squad over Fury, handing San Francisco their only loss of the year in the finals, and kind of shell shocking them. That was what was crazy about that game. They
Yeah,
come
it's
out,
the
they
nature
punch
of the
Fury in the
upset
mouth,
also.
and then their O line never blinked. It was awesome. Fury was
Yeah.
the overwhelming favorite to win the national championships, and they did not. All right, biggest controversy. Well, we already kicked it off, Keith, with France, USA, and the end of that beach semifinal. Some other options.
Is there
Israel competing at Beach Worlds and ultimately having 5 teams decline to play them. Heat timeouts. I'm not going to elaborate on all of the wet bulb.
It seems like
stuff
a million
once
years
again,
ago we were arguing about that.
Sadie Jazerski versus Dalton Smith. And how about Justin Podnar, versus Uvik back at regionals. Also, Justin Podnar on the Huck and A pod during the charity streamathon, so check that out.
Yeah, he even talks about the aftermath of those calls. Yeah, I mean, everybody else is playing for second. Like the winner is obvious here, right? Recency bias if you must, but it's got to be France USA. You get the not only the stall call, but like everything building up to it, the way that the game winner got taken back, like the fact that it wasn't just the game winner, it was like an incredible catch, like a great play, very dramatic game winner. And then, the USA boos, all the follow up, France's social media posting, like tagging USAU, basically calling people cheaters, sometimes about the wrong calls where their call was correctly adjudicated. I don't know. The discourse around this has been extremely intense. So it gotta be France USA.
I'm not going to argue with you, Keith. It's been discussed ad nauseum. All right. What's next?
Why don't we why don't we do best moment? I tried to get together a couple of these because we didn't get to go over these with everybody else, but why don't we look at some of the best moments of the year, which has some crossover with like best game, biggest upset kind of stuff. But we can look at some of the craziest moments from this year. What was it? There was a crazy round of the club championships. There's a pre-quarter. Was it pre-quarters? Is that the one?
This year it was pre-quarters.
Yeah, pre-quarters. The pre-quarters round, and maybe like
quarters specifically
like, I mean, from my perspective, it was, I was taking it into field pass. Like the field pass pre-quarters was absolutely wild. That's definitely one of the moments that I'll remember the most from this year. Is it fair to pick? I know we talked about UBC Carleton as a game itself, but the atmosphere going into that Universe Point was just incredible. Like, what an environment to be in. We're in this like Seattle Stadium, so there's all these Carleton folks and a bunch of UBC folks. The UBC crowd had kind of like taken over, but the stadium was small enough that like felt like we kind of filled it up. Just wild scenes for that one. That's definitely one of the ones that'll stand out to me. Any come to mind for you?
Wind chill at championship weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I mean, just kind of that whole, I mean, their entire pair of games at championship weekend was great, but like getting the upset win, the way that they, kind of had this underdog energy, and they had a big crowd there because it was up in Madison. So a lot of people drove down. That was a lot of fun. I think watching India beat Germany at Beach Worlds early in the tournament, that was also really cool. I don't know if that was like the best moment. It was a cool game. India, by the way, I think we mentioned this before. They like beat all of the best teams and then lost to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. They were a really interesting team.
That game was that was a crazy moment. Like, not only did they upset like one of the best teams at the tournament, but they have some of their star players off the field. Like one of their D-line guys like gets a bookends with a giant layout for the game.
Yeah, that was insane plays.
It's pretty crazy. And that wind chill, I think the wind chill game, wasn't the wind chill game against Chicago the one where like there was like the tip, it was crazy windy, and Dylan DeClercq like brings in the insane
whatever.
toe in on the
It's
sideline.
different to
There's
have
the
it be
catch.
a higher stakes game. Like I think I would take the wind chill from championship weekend over their upset of Chicago.
No, that's the game with the Noah Hansen layout block, right? Like, no. I'm definitely taking the Chicago game because that one was nuts. Like, I remember being like,
No,
"Oh my
no.
god,
Them
this
beating
can't be
Atlanta,
happening."
was bigger. Yeah,
That
I
was
just
yeah,
disagree.
but it was fait accompli. Like, it's Atlanta. They're obviously going to give the game away at the end. Not just the hustle. It's Atlanta sports. Like, it was fait accompli.
I'm not going to go into the details, Keith, but there was some drama at championship weekend involving me and a member of the Atlanta Hustle over comments from this podcast.
Did they think that you were speaking, but it was me?
No, I don't think so. I think that I don't exactly know. I'm not gonna like I said, I'm not gonna go too deep, but it was a little, there was some intensity, and I was told off in a way that I haven't been in a long time in public. It was pretty intense.
One, that means
I'll tell you about it
that
off
means
the air.
that I need to lay into you more often, is what that means. But also,
I mean,
you can't hold
I'm
it
not the
against
one
me.
who's coming in here and shitting on Atlanta, just to be clear.
Right.
That was just
But
you.
I am free to
but
do
you-
that as
you are.
someone of Atlanta. It's like you can make fun of your own siblings, but don't come here and make fun of my siblings. You know, like I get to light us up. So, what do you, any of these stand out as the most? I mean, is it just obviously the pre-quarters at club championships, like the last?
No.
15 minutes?
I actually,
No.
my vote is for UBC Carleton.
Okay.
The energy, the night game, the crowd, the game itself was amazing. Two incredible teams. And so, yeah, legendary stuff.
I think
I'm
I'm going
thinking
to
of the wrong
take
game.
pre-quarters. I need.
Did you picked UBC Carleton? That was the final, right?
Oh no, yeah, it's
I want
it's Washington. That's the
Okay.
one. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
We're talking about the same game, though, right?
Yes,
I'm
Washington.
talking about the
Carleton.
semi.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the final.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That is the game that was great. That had the crazy energy. Washington Carleton. Yes.
For me, that's like the most like intense, awesome part of the year, and I was a part of most of these moments in the production booth.
I'm sticking with pre-quarters here. I think that was the craziest moments of the year. It was like
I get it.
Whip around, like running from field to field to see the.
I was
ends.
in the field pass tent helping figure out where to send cameras, and it was wild. And I feel like we watched 4 universe points like finishes in a row. So I understand it. Sue also picking field pass and pre-quarters. So pre-quarters is the winner. Club Nats pre-quarters, and I think very fair choice. All right,
Apologies
let's
to
get
Washington.
to.
I wrote in the wrong team there.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, he doesn't actually mean the finals, does he? Okay, play of the year. We're gonna watch them all, so we can relive them, and we're gonna go in the order of our notes here, Keith. So we'll start with the Leo Farley toe-in. So let's roll the tape. We're going to watch each of these plays. This is from the men's final at the D3 College Championships.
Finding Impus.
It's 13-13.
We'll look for him.
Game to 15.
Will it stay in bounds?
And in real time, Keith, I thought this was out of bounds.
I know it's inbounds, and my brain says it's out. It's just like I know.
And what a call!
See in the replay.
Sam Shapiro, the GOAT, dude. He gets this call right, which is insane.
How does he see that it's inbounds?
What a play, dude.
I need even now. It still looks like it until we get to the slowed down version. I mean,
incredible.
Do
we agree with that? I don't think he had
Do we
possession
agree with
until
that?
His toes had already gone past
Here it
the
is.
line. Look at this in slow-mo.
Toes on the line there. Catch. Yep. I think.
Absolutely.
Wow,
I mean,
that's
it's
great.
a
I know, but,
no
like-
doubter when you see it there, right?
yeah, you need
got a
every
clamp.
other version. It
Both
looks
toes
like
down.
he's out.
That's an
And
NFL
that looks-
touchdown right there.
That looks in.
That's an NFL
Unbelievable.
touchdown. Incredible play. All right, let's go to the Noah Kuhlman block from Nationals. Oh my God, this one is truly nuts. I think this is the best individual block of the year.
For Boxley.
Probably call him
Oh
the block of
my
the year before the
God.
back goes up.
Noah Coolman. What a
Dude, and
team.
box with the no call, it's so sick. That play is
I don't know.
just ridiculous athleticism, Keith.
Definitely some people do
All
not
right.
agree that it was so sick that he did that Bucks didn't call, but
Oh
all
my
those people are probably on truck stop.
People are in the comments being like, that's a foul. I'm like, the guy on the field didn't call it a foul. Okay. Can we not call it a foul, please? Let's take a look at the Jolie Krebs IO flick hook. I mean, I feel like you could pick any number from Jolie Krebs. Look at this throw.
What? Jolie Krebs ripping an IO
Dot.
Wow. It's Jolie ball out here.
Was there ever any doubt?
Yes. We couldn't see the receiver.
Yeah, she like recognizing that the thrower was coming up on the backhand side, so she couldn't wind up the backhand, and then getting off that throw with that kind of angle on it is absolutely wild. Jolie Krebs just doing her thing out here.
Nasty throw. Okay. Dylan Freechild, after having a brutal turnover at the World Games, has an opportunity to get it back.
Confirmed Germany did not win this
Look
game.
at this poach. Look at this poach. So beat Germany. Keith, you thought Germany won this game, but no, Dylan Freechild saves the game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What a heads up play. Kelly Highland, semifinals, Club Nats. Take a look at this block. Oh my God. Just enough time, that disc hanging on the sideline, to allow Highland to have a chance to come back and make a play. Insane.
That was like that felt like the turnaround moment. You know, Scandal was up 8-5 in that game, and Grid Squad really controlled the second half, and that was a huge part of it.
And last but certainly not least, Zeppelin Raunig in the Northwest Regional Final, where BFG versus Mixtape. BFG, such a heavy favorite. They get a block, they get the disc, and absolutely ridiculous layout Callahan to win the game. Oh my God.
You see how the crowd just
wish
starts
we had
immediately
audio.
standing up? Like, I can't believe I just saw that.
Incredible. All right, I'm going to take a look at the chat. Let's see what people are. Who's voted for the chat?
Chat, speak for us.
I think Steph Pozzo says it's got to be the Freechild block versus Germany at the World Games. Keith, what's your vote? Put your votes in the chat, folks.
Yeah.
Zeppelin votes for himself.
Zeppelin said me. Nice. To me, it's between Zeppelin, Freechild, and Fairley. I think I think Leo Farley. I think that's my ultimate answer. I mean, just like even now, I still don't believe it. And
it's a great play, Keith. If it was
to
win the finals,
it's 13-13. I know it wasn't the game winner, but it
was
universe,
in the
clutch. It was in the clutch.
I know, but it wasn't. It isn't as it's not as clutch as the Freechild play. Like, it's just not. It wasn't universe. I'm sorry to say it. I hate to take away from it because it's an incredible play, but I feel like if you're going for like one of those between those two, you have to take Freechild, right?
No,
if you're just looking at those two,
I know.
the individual play that impressed me the most was Noah Kuhlman. I thought that was the craziest individual athletic effort. But I think it has to lose to either the game-winning Callahan or Dylan Freechild saving his own mistake.
See, I think that Farley and the Ronick catches are the hardest individual play to make of these.
That is crazy. That's a crazy take. Did you see how far Kuhlman flew through the air to make that play?
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a great play, but I mean, you got to go up for it there. Ronick has to make the calculation, and Farley has to like bend physics.
I'm going Freechild. At the end of the day, I think the situation, the moment, the stakes, World Games, to make up for a mistake from earlier, and the awareness, the IQ, and then the physical execution of the layout D. To me, that all combines together to be the best play of the year.
I gotta send it to Sue here. I gotta send it to producer.
You're
producer
what are
Sue
you
here.
going with?
I'm going with
Callahan?
Leo Farley. Yeah. No,
You're going with
Leo
Farley. Okay. You're going with Farley. All right, we're gonna let our producer make the tie. Well,
Sue wants
Sue's
to
going
cover Zeppelin
Callahan.
Roddick
Well, Zeppelin Ronick is in the chat.
this year. So if Dylan Freechild or Leo Farley were here, they too could win.
Okay.
I think
You know what? We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it undecided. We're gonna put this as a poll on our Instagram.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the 3 clips
Or
up,
Spotify.
and we
could do either one.
We're gonna do a vote. Sure, I don't care how we do. On social media, we're gonna do a poll, and we're gonna pick the winner. That's gonna be the way we pick the winner. Because if we all 3 disagree, then we gotta let the people choose. All right. Last one. Who won the year? I'm going to give you 4 candidates, Keith.
Okay.
Raekwon Atkins wins Club Nationals with Revolver, wins Beach Worlds with the USA. Kind of a breakout year for him overall. Levka Walczak, who wins Club Nationals, wins Beach Worlds with Germany, and some incredible moments for her. Don Demarais, who has, I think, clearly ascended to be the unanimous number 1 player in the world right now in the men's division. And obviously, made it to the finals of multiple big tournaments, and just individually was so brilliant. Or Michael Ing, who was just tremendous, obviously for Revolver, also for the World Games, a couple golds for him. So you've got the accolades of Levka, Raekwon, and Michael Ing, and you've got the individual brilliance of Don Demarais. Who won the year?
Oh my gosh, this is really hard. And as Zeppelin points out, don't forget about the U24 gold medal that Raekwon Atkins also.
Very, very good point.
Tough. That's tough. Can I add one in? Can I add in one
Sure.
for consideration?
Sure.
Speaking of World Games, Mika Kurahashi leads her team to a college championship.
By the way, we were just looking at the stats. You're going to say the same thing as me. You tell us about it. No, you got it.
Oh yeah. So don't forget about their semifinals. People forget about it because they absolutely just crushed Vermont. Remember, for those of you who were back here at the beginning of the show, we were talking about good edge scores, and we were like, yeah, 4.4. When you get over 4, you're like having a great game. Best club one was like 4.84. Again, in semis, Mika Kurahashi had a 5.8. She, like, I think that's the highest score that we've recorded in like.
That's
USA
the game they won
play.
like 15-4 or something.
Yeah.
It was like a complete and utter beatdown.
3 goals, 5 assists, 2 blocks, no turns. Yeah, I mean that was crazy. And wins that game, makes the World Games team, plays with Team Canada at World Games as well. But I can't give it to her because of the BFG thing. That's just too dark a mark to wear. But shout out. Oh man, choosing between, to me, it's between Atkins, Levka, and Don Demarais. And Atkins makes the game-winning goal for the club championships. Also, is essentially the best player on the beach team that he wins gold with. That's pretty good. Demarais ascending to number 1 overall, like becoming unanimous. That's pretty good. Plus, a lot of good showings for Belgium. But maybe the fact that they put up like unsatisfactory results in some of those is enough to take it away from me. How Moon did, and then this beach team coming up short. Maybe that's enough to keep him. So maybe now I'm circling into Levka. I don't know. Raekwon a heck of a year. That's a lot of medals. You know what? Yeah, let me take Raekwon. I'm taking Raekwon.
I can't. I'm not with you. I got to take Levka. Let me tell you why. Raekwon, obviously tremendous year, but he was a role player on a championship team. Now, yes, was he the best player on the beach team? Great case for it. But beach is not what we play ultimate for, and it's not. It's a sideshow sport, part of the sport, in my opinion. And it's still an achievement. He's obviously a tremendous talent on grass and on beach. But Levka was like the reason that Brute Squad won the national championships. And she was a big part of the reason that, Germany was as good as they were. And frankly, she maybe didn't even play her best. I wanted to pick Don, but at the end of the day, coming away with basically no hardware and having some really disappointing moments, it just makes it too hard for him to pick him. I mean, he already won a Player of the Year. He's he's going to have his opportunities. But Levka comes away
we don't have a
with
trophy for this.
Multiple
This is the
big medals.
least important reward that these three players are vying for.
So yeah, I got to go Levka. It sounds like we need Sue to break the tie here.
I mean, so Levka, don't. I know Levka had an incredible year. I know she wouldn't stop playing Ultimate. She's probably playing right now. Don't forget how she might have done your World Games fantasy team. Right? Does that
I know
detract?
Not really. I think she had too many turnovers, yet they still might have been better with her than without her. She was so important. It's fair. But Raekwon wasn't at World Games. Don wasn't at World Games. Ultimately, Sue votes for Raekwon. Fair enough.
Producer Stu having a show of the year here.
Is anybody picking Raekwon if he doesn't have the sick close it out celly?
Yes.
I'm just saying.
He skydived off for the game winner. Yes.
I know, but
cool,
I'm including that. It was a sick play, no question. But if that one play doesn't happen, are you putting him in this category, in this list?
I'd put him in the list, but he might not be in the in contention to win it. But it did happen. He did that.
I am so ready for a Raekwon monster season, an Oregon Ego winning a title. Though I did not pick them in my preseason picks as a part of our 12 Days of College Ultimate going on right now.
Raekwon's getting our Who Won the Year. I'm down with it.
Okay.
I'm down with it.
All right. Raekwon Atkins wins the year. And well deserved. All right. U20 USA team selected this week. We got the rosters. Let's take a look at the USA U20 rosters. These are to be the three teams that will compete in Logroño, Spain next summer for the World Junior Ultimate Championship titles. Here is the mixed team. Keith, plenty of names I don't know, but I will say some names that I definitely do know. Sarek Malloretti is going to cook for this mixed team.
Yeah, I mean, you got a couple of returners on this team as well. So some names that we've talked about on the show before, like Walter Hips. You mentioned Malloretti. Katie Stack is a returner. Bridget Barnett. That's someone who I want to hype. Bridget Barnett is going to be one of the best high school players in the country this year, and is going to be one of the next big recruits out of Seattle. So shout out to her. But a very strong team. I think they're going to be favored to come home with gold again.
All right, let's take a look at the next team up. Here's the open division. Some tremendous names, some names we saw at YCC, some names we saw at HSNI. Reggie Maskett, Stefan McCall, great players up and down this roster, Keith. Danny Hobday.
Yeah, Danny Hobday. So much fun to watch. It's great to see that he's going to get kind of a big opportunity. Blake Holt, he probably may have 2 cycles that he could play with this team. So I'm a huge fan of his game as well.
All right, and let's take a look at the women's team. This team trying to avenge a loss from last Junior Worlds when they lost to France. France going to be tough again, I think.
France-USA rivalry alive, you know?
It's happening. I don't know who all they get back, the France team, but I think they're going to be tough again. Is Zoe Forget still eligible? I think so.
Maybe.
I think so.
Maybe. Violet Yap back with this team, definitely a name to watch. Nor Luloff joining the team this year. Kamari Okamura, one of my favorites. I'm
killing it.
I need my fan club card for the Kamari fan club representing Minnesota. Very nice. So definitely excited to see what this team could do, because they've got something to live up to as the lone division where the team couldn't capture gold last time.
Yep. Is Luloff going to be the biggest star on this team, you think?
Probably the biggest name. I think Violet Yap might be kind of like the centerpiece too. As much as these teams do have centerpieces, but there are a lot of talent here, but maybe the most experience of that group. I also want to note that I think there were 8 returners, so there's a number not on this team, across all 3 teams. So there's definitely some experience here. I mean, we should note, I'm pretty sure Chloe and Vivian Akimi could have tried out for this team, and they did not. They were like, we're moving on.
I guess you're right, because they're starting college this coming year. There's no way they're 20 yet.
No.
So, yeah, you know what? I think Chloe Hakimi's decided I've done enough. It's crazy.
I could have seen
last time. Wow.
I could have seen them coming back and be like, nah, we got to get a gold. We're not going out like this. Like, this is not going to be a stain on our legacy. But
wild. All right. Last thing before we go, and the final mailbag question of the week of the year is, Keith.
All right, our final mailbag question: who would or should be in a worldwide Ultimate Hall of Fame? Yeah, if you expand the net to just global Ultimate, who do you think would make it into the Hall of Fame?
Well, okay. First of all, we need to have this. Like I feel
Nip
like
diff. Where you at?
Well, I guess my question is, the existing Hall of Fame is called the Ultimate Hall of Fame. It is not called the United States Ultimate Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but is it the Ultimate Hall of Fame in the same way that we have the player of the year, or the top 25 club players, or the World Series?
I understand your point. But it says it honors the sport's past and celebrates its greatest players and contributors. By the way, there are Canadians in the Ultimate Hall of Fame. But maybe if you don't play in the USA club national scene, you're not really considered eligible. Is that like the idea? I'm not sure what they should do. I'm not necessarily saying that the existing hall, which is North American focused, needs to start inducting people from Colombia and Japan and Australia and wherever. But we need to have somebody do that, because I feel like there should be some way to recognize legends of the international game who maybe don't get as much of an opportunity to shine as those who play in the U.S. But that's changing, right, over time, as we've seen more and more international players come over and play in the U.S. And increasingly, we're seeing a lot of people paying attention to these top international tournaments. So, my answer, well, first of all, Masahiro Matsuno is someone who comes to mind right away.
Most obvious lock.
Yeah. Tom Regacki. Like, technically, by my standards, both of these players are still not eligible to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but they obviously will get in. I think both of them are probably done playing at the very highest level after 2025. Like, this was the end. Let's see who else. Obviously you're going to have a bunch of the Colombian women get in, but they're all still kind of active players.
Yeah, I mean the Cardenas sisters have done enough already.
They've done enough.
They're like
done.
26.
Yeah.
They could have 2 Hall of Fame careers. Like, they could just stop now, get in the Hall of Fame, and if we started over, I think they would probably get back again.
Cat Phillips.
Yeah.
Nasser Mbe Vogel.
Justin Ford.
Oh, yeah,
probably make that list.
Easy.
Maybe like Eri Harai from Japan.
There's probably a couple of Japanese women from that 2005 to 2015 era that should get in.
How about Arakawa? Speaking of players
I think so.
Are still going.
Kurono. There's like 4 or 5 of the Buzz Bullet / Team Japan players.
It's that
who
Buzz
probably should
Bullets
get
generation. Yeah.
Yes. Let's see.
Those are like the
Mauricio Moore
obvious.
as a coach.
Mhm.
Well, we could look back at we have I'm gonna pull it up. We did our best. Yeah. Because that was during COVID, we did the decade's greatest. And we looked at the top 10 international players. Names we haven't already said: Holger Butenmuller, Peter Blakely, Christian Guerrero, Kichikawa, Yohei Kichikawa, and Tom Tullett.
Cupcake. I mean, they're active play. Like, Levka and Don are going to be at that level. I mean, Don is Don the only meal matching player aside from maybe Matsuno, who wasn't from North America, who was at any point considered the best player in the world? Like, it's untouched territory. Right?
I don't know if Justin Ford ever quite got to that level. I think he got to like a top 10 level at his peak, but I don't think he was ever considered number 1 because he was playing, in the Bo era mostly.
And Levka is probably the only non-Colombian women matching player to be in that conversation. Maybe Cat Phillips at some point.
Of best player in the world?
Yeah.
No, the Cardinals twins both have been discussed.
That's what I said. Non-Colombian. I said non-Colombian.
Oh, non-Colombian. I'm sorry.
Like anybody from Europe, Australia, Japan. I don't know if they ever gotten there.
I think that's
because America was so
correct.
dominant.
Okay, so on the women's side, from Decade's Greatest, names we haven't already said. I mean, implicitly, I said Gina Cartagena. We didn't say it.
Yeah, you said the Colombian.
Gina's a lock. I think she's a lock.
Yes,
she's was a top 5 player at nationals this year, and has been doing it and been a big time leader for the Colombians for almost 10 years. Ayumi Fujioka, big part of the team that won the 2012 Worlds. Elizabeth Mosquera, borderline for me, actually. I think could have been, right? When this article was written in 2020, she was coming off of looking like maybe the best player in the world in 2019 at PAOK. And then got hurt and has never really been the same. Laura Ospina, another Colombian. Alexandra Pustavaya, who was killing it for Russia back in the mid 2010s. Aleja Torres. A lot of Colombians.
Yeah,
Understandably.
they've been pretty good.
They've been very good. All right. That's going to do it for our show and for our 2025 Deep Look season. Thank you so much for tuning in with us live all of these weeks in a row. And we're going to be doing our subscriber bonus coming up. We're talking about moments that could have gone differently and changed the year. So we're going to think through some of the turning point moments and what could have been. And that's going to be live in the Discord in just a few minutes. So we will hope to see you there. You can join the Discord with any level of Ultiworld subscription. Also a great time of year to consider getting a gift subscription for someone you know who wants to join the Discord, watch the film, and just be a part of the Ultiworld community. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely holiday season. Keith and I will be back with you in early January for our start of the year show as we look ahead to 2026. Keith,
Bold predictions,
talk to
baby.
you in a couple weeks. Bold predictions. It'll be fun.